All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to episode 9 of the Warrior Women Thriving Live podcast. We're featuring our special guest today, Cecilia CiCi Lopez. Hi, Cecilia. Welcome to our podcast tonight.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. Thank you very much.
Yes, we are so happy to have you, sister. And where are you hailing from?
I'm in Oklahoma, but I'm not from Oklahoma. I'm a Texan.
All right, Texan. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us on today's featured podcast. We're going to be talking about helping teens and children prevent suicide, and also helping them, like some of the work that you do in terms of helping them get their high school diploma. So I'm so honored and inspired by the work that you are doing out there in the field. So, if you were to say what your profession is, what would you say? What would you call it? What would you call what you do?
I would say moms helping moms,
Yeah,
or moms and dads, because I know there's single dads out there. So it's mainly for those parents that doesn't know what is behind the suicide of thoughts and their gaps and everything. I'm just
yeah,
trying to help steer them in the right direction for their safety.
yeah. That's so inspiring. And so, if I was to ask you about why you here today, like why did you accept my invitation?
What got me was the survivor, because I am a survivor of many things. One being the suicide. I tried to take my life not just once, but there's been many times. I counted. I wasn't trying to count, but since I've been working in this field, I wanted to get myself appropriate um, number, and it's been 5 times since I was trying to take my life. So
Wow.
that is one of the things that I noticed that I survived. And I also survived other things like being sexual abuse and abuse of alcohol and drugs. I was just a mess. I'm a mess trying to help those that are in my mess now.
Yeah. Sister, I'm so inspired by the way that you have turned your life around, and you're taking your mess, as we all are, and turning it into a message so that you can help and empower these young people. So I'm so inspired by the bio that I read. And again, I thank you for coming on and sharing your truth and being very transparent and vulnerable to share, your story to help someone else. So again, thank you for that. I'm so touched and inspired by that, sister.
Well, thank you for having me here. It's a very honor to be able to share it and be able to show that I am here and there is somebody out here that cares about the people that feel like they don't have nobody.
Yeah, and I think you hit it right there. So many, especially our young people, feel so alone, right? They feel like they're going through life without anybody, and that's what they long for, that
Um,
connection and being around people.
yes, yes, yes. And it's very difficult for them also because of there's not that many therapists. There's not that many counselors out there that is needing them at what that is meeting where they're wanting them to meet them at. So
Yeah,
that's the reason why I started doing this, was to help them, to 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 help parents to guide them and to know how to reach out to their children. That a way they can know that their parents are there for them, that they're
yeah,
not away from them. And especially the ones that are in my place where I was at, where your parent was too busy working and partying, so they didn't really acknowledge you.
yeah,
And there are adults out there that will acknowledge you, even if they're not your parent. And I want to make sure that these kids know that, because it is very difficult to be feeling like you're alone and nobody is there to reach out for you. You have to reach out for yourself. That way you can be able to get the help that you're needing, and to make sure that you are comfortable in that area of speaking out too.
Yeah, and I think you know, for the group, your target group, what would you say your target group is in terms of age?
I'm gonna say, whenever I started trying to commit or trying to take my life, I was only 12 years old. So my
Okay.
target is 12 and up. Like even uh young adults that are getting into college and stuff, they feel that they're pressured into a college that they don't even want to be at sometimes, and they feel like they have to continue and go, or else they're going to let the person down, or people down that are telling them you're doing great, just keep going. And whenever they don't feel like they're wanting to keep on going, because they don't feel that that's not where they're wanting to be, they have to be able to know that they can talk for themselves and say, look, this is not me. I don't want this, and get out of the situation that they're in, instead of trying to take their life. Because believe it or not, there is young adults out there that try to commit, try to take their life because they feel like they have to do this work, or they have to go do this. But you
Yeah.
really don't really have to do nothing. You could do what you want to do, but it's all where you have to figure out what you want. And that's what I'm trying to get out there to help them.
So so there's two different age groups, because one you're saying 12 and up to, like, say, teenager, but then once you become 18 and over, you're an adult. But it's, what kind of message do you send to these? Because to me, it's two different groups. Like,
Yeah.
for instance, what you just said is for the young adults, they can kind of do what they want, but when you're a child, that's not necessarily the case if
Yeah.
you your quote unquote parents' household and their rules. So
Oh,
what message
yes.
do you give to the young children, 12 and
Oh,
up
yes.
to?
There is. Yes, there is a message out there big time with that one. I am like, I didn't get to step foot into high school. And I really wish I did. I really wished I would have got my high school diploma. For them, I want to let them know, even though it feels like you don't want to wake up that next day for school, and you feel like it's a waste of time, and it's not. It really ain't. High school is like a key to life. It's to bring out what you're not it's to bring out what you're trying to be in this life area. And I want them to know that they can wake up and figure out what kind of classes they love, and find what they want to be before they get out of high school. That way they know what classes to take while they're in high school, and to know where to pivot when they get out of high school. So that's what I've been trying to help, not only my children, but their friends too that come along. I actually have one child that was living with me before we ended up in the situation we are now. Um, I have this one child, he's 18. He was 17 when we met him, and he was being abused by his stepdad. And the mom did not know, because basically she was out working. So sorry, I'm so sorry, my son started coming at me. I had to stop him, but she did not know that he was there, and he was getting abused by her her boyfriend or her husband. I don't know how he explained it. So I told him, "You're 17. I can't do nothing right now. All I can do is tell you to reach out to a service worker or your school and let them know what's happening to try to get help,"
Yeah.
because they were forcing him to do stuff that he didn't want to do. And he just wanted to get his high school diploma. And I was like, "Well, I can't really do nothing." And right whenever he turned 18, she ended up throwing him out because she picked the man over him. And I told him right whenever he walked up to me and I saw him with his bags, and I was like, "What's this?" He said, "Well, she threw me out." And I was like, "Oh no." I said, "Well, you can stay here. The only things that I give you is you have to go to school. You have to finish that high school diploma. And if you're not going to do that, then you need to get a job." Those are my two things that I tell these young people that end up in my care. But I am trying right now to use that and to try to build a foundation with that. That
Okay.
way, just because there's one child doesn't mean there's many out there that is going through that. And I'm trying to build this foundation to help them know that there is a place they can come to and finish that high school diploma, because
Yeah.
out here without a high school diploma, it is a very, very challenging. It's not something that you can get out there and you can do something without your high school diploma, but it's more challenge without your high school diploma. And I know that for a fact because I'm one of those people that does not have a high school diploma. And I get shut down and I get looked at wrong just because I don't have that high school diploma. So that is one thing that I do acknowledge to children, is to finish and get that high school diploma. That way, whenever you are out of high school and you're like still wondering, is this for me? You can always pivot and go do something else for the meantime that's going to help you pay your bills, keep a roof over your head, and to keep you in that direction. And never give up on your dreams. Always keep going towards that. If they get a job, I always tell them to get a job, but then use that job to build on your dreams that you're wanting to do. Don't
Yeah.
just work for nothing.
Yeah, I want to interject here because you said something, and I really want to kind of unpack it a little bit more because it really resonated with me when you said, when they're in high school, you want to be able to set up something where they're learning what it is that they want to do early. And I really want to hear more about your ideas around that because I work in higher education. I've been actually, for 24 years. Today is actually my
Yes.
work anniversary. And it's been that students coming out of high school are not necessarily prepared for college, and that college readiness is a lack of preparation and a
Yeah.
lack of what it is that they want to do in life. So I like to hear more of your ideas of how do you see or envision having them, learn what their dreams are, learn what their purposes are, learn what their goals or their career choices in life would be in high school. How do you envision
Oh,
that?
I am so glad you said that, because I have actually put together this so far it's a 2-page questionnaire. And in those questionnaires, it has one of them, I'll say one of them has it where what do they want to be when they get out of school? What is it that they're chasing? Like it's more of a questionnaires for them to answer for themselves, instead of somebody going up and telling them, okay, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. I'm telling them to hold that back and say, can I please have a breath and think about what I want, instead of automatically quick and saying it what they're wanting to be. Because I don't know if you remember when we were little. I remember in in preschool, we would have this lady come in, and she would always sit on the sideline, and she would say, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" Well, whenever we get older and get into more challenging situations in our life, we don't get that question no more. We don't get what we want to be. We always are told what we are supposed to be or what we're supposed to be doing. We don't
Wow.
get to we don't get that question no more. So
You
that's
don't get to
mainly
dream.
what my questions are on that sheet of paper, those two different sheets of paper. And it's digging more into them too. On the second page is like more digging into why they're wanting to be that, and why are they choosing that, and how are they going to do it, and what are they going to need to get there. It's more of those kind of questions in that way they can know what they're wanting to be, and not from somebody else's point of view.
I love that. Having more of a self-assessment about what they're passionate about. And that's the key to it all. And even not just young people, adults as well. And I love what
Oh
you
yes.
said. We don't get to choose anymore because at the time that you become an adult and you're independent, it becomes survival, right? If you have
Yeah.
not, and it's survival, meaning you have to do what you have to do because you haven't really necessarily prepared, or you just haven't, either you stopped dreaming or you never dreamed, or you just had not had the opportunity to fulfill the dreams that you had in your head. So I love what you're saying, because if the young people can get an early start and to start focusing on what they want as opposed to focusing on, the past, like we all know, right? When we focus on the past, that's like bless you. That's like looking through the rear view mirror as opposed to looking forward. And I always give that analogy about driving, because I mean, if you keep looking in the rear view mirror, you're gonna crash,
Hmm.
right?
Yes, yes,
As you're
yes.
moving forward, because you don't see what's in front of you. And it's just, life is like that as well. And I'm loving the fact that you want to work with these young people. So how do you see this? Like right now, it sounds like you have more of a small cohort of students that's around you. But how do you
Yeah.
see this growing into something that's more, on a national level, say?
Oh, I haven't really, to tell you the truth, I haven't really even thought of that. I just been so focused into helping these children and hearing all these, because I don't listen to the news. I dislike the news. I never like the news. But
Yeah.
when we are on Facebook, that actually pops up on ours, even if we don't want to hear about it. And
Mhm.
I've been hearing a lot of kids commit suicide. So that is actually the reason why. Oh, okay, there it goes. Sorry. That is actually the reason why I started doing this, was because it felt like, to me, it was a sign from God that's telling me, hey, you had something like this happen to you. It's time to wake up and reach out and start helping. It's
When did
time
that
to
when did
start
that
doing
happen?
your part.
When
Do
did
it.
that when did that awakening happen for you? Because I think we
Uh,
all as survivors have a similar experience.
yes. Mine actually happened. I lost my career um 5 years ago. I lost my career. I was a certified CNA, certified nurse's aide. That's how it's a CNA, but it's a certified nurse's aide. I lost my career with an accident. I can't go back to that because I cannot lift any longer. And I've been struggling trying to figure out what I'm wanting to do now.
Yeah.
So whenever I was sitting down one day in self-pity, as everybody ends up in there, it's I just like sat there and I looked over, and I actually made a poem about it. And it was like I was looking out my window, and there was this dead tree right there. And just something just popped in me, and it was like a voice came into my head and was like, is that what you want to be? Is just a dead tree just sitting there? Or do you want something bigger? And
Wow.
and that was just like, it just started click in my head, and I just started writing. So I do have a book coming out also
Oh,
pretty soon with it, and it's mostly about whenever I tried to take my life whenever I was 12 years old, and the reason under it all, and what I should have done instead of trying to take my life. So it's more of a guidebook to help
nice.
somebody that is in that situation and
Very
stuff like. But that's whenever I got my, it just hit me, and it was just like, you have to do something, you can't just sit here.
yeah.
So
I love,
that's the reason why I started pivoting and started moving towards the direction of
yeah.
building this legacy that I want to be able to help others, because I know I I know that is why I'm here, is to
Yeah.
help somebody. I'm not here just for myself.
I love that. I think we all, as survivors, again, share that same spiritual awakening, if you will. I know mine was 6 years ago when finally I was like I didn't get the dead log thing, but it's almost I felt like I was a walking zombie because I was just in what I was calling emotional purgatory for 15 years. And I was like, what is wrong with me? I was just totally stuck. So I get what you're saying. And then finally you have to look at, what is it that you're meant to do? And that's what, like, I launched my uh, program, my Power Start program. It's a 6-week beta launch program just for survivors like us, who are launching something, right? Something that they need to birth in their spirit from their belly, because God gave us a vision of, what something more, right? To give to the
Yeah.
world, to unleash our gifts. And but how do you do that? And that's the thing. And it's like I've been working with these coaches, learning how to do that so that I can go back and teach other survivors how to thrive, right?
Yeah.
And walk in purpose, activate your voice, take that mess, turn it into a message, own your power, right? Just take back the power and control over your life and create what you want in this life, as opposed to waiting for somebody else to give it to us. And I think for me, over the COVID years, these last couple of years, my eyes opened very wide as to there's a need, like a critical
Yes.
need to create what God has called us to do. And it, bless you, it's a total vision. It's
Thank
total,
you.
like these conversations I'm calling courageous conversations, because it's all about courage. And
Mm.
you'll build confidence as you're going, but you have to build the courage to even activate your voice and speak up and share and be vulnerable and transparent, as you have, as
Yeah.
I have, sharing our story, of our history of who we were in the past, and then how we overcame those things, right? So it's all about the healing journey, and it's all also about the transformation. And that's where I usually like to start. Like I usually ask a little bit about the story, like just from your past, so that our listeners can see, who you were, who you had to become, and then what you're creating, what you're building. So that's kind of trajectory I like to take when I'm looking at, like you said, creating a legacy, because that's what it's all about. Like people need to know who you are and where you came from. So just with that in mind, just let's
Mm.
go back a little bit and let's just tell the story of like who you were. And then, you don't have to stay stuck in that area, because I
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
it to be more about what was the transformation that took you from that point in that dark space and to where you are in the space now of the person you are meant to be, like who you're becoming, right? Because that's we're all becoming. We're not there yet. We're all becoming.
Yeah.
So where were you in that dark space and then how did you come out?
I was I was just sitting there, to tell you the truth, I was sitting there and I wanted to end my life. I was like, okay, I have 6 kids. And I was like, I have my 6 kids. I did not have, they don't have their father. So they just have me. And here I am, can't get up and go work and take care of my kids. And I was like, what's going to happen to us? Why they would be better off if I was not here. Why couldn't, I kept getting that in my head whenever, because I was supposed to be dead in my accident. I was not supposed to be here, but I ended up here. It was like, and this was not my first time that I shouldn't have been here. This is probably like my 6th time that I should have been not here in this earth. And I was like, it why am I here? Why did I kept telling myself over and over, why am I here? Why did you let me live, God? Because I can't take care of my kids now. I'm crippled, it feels like, and I can't move because I was like, the accident made me feel like paralyzed. I had to get up and start walking again to teach myself how to walk again. My oldest son and my daughter, they're my 2 oldest, they had to actually help me and teach me how to walk again because of my accident that I had. And I was just like, I just wanted to end my life because I thought my kids would be better off with somebody else. And I was like, that's whenever I saw that tree sitting there, and it was just like telling me, no, you can't. You're not a tree. You're not sitting there. You are getting up. You are trying to beat this. So that's reason why that's how I came out of that, was hearing that voice telling me that I was not that dead tree sitting there. I was somebody that I can get up, and I was doing it. I was proving myself that, because I was pushing myself to walk again. I was pushing myself to go to the doctor and to help me fix my spine back. I was helping myself. And now that I've been through so many surgeries and stuff to get myself back to where I'm now walking, it amazes me. And I know that I can do this. And there is people out there that is needing me because of all the things that I heard on, you know, Facebook that I didn't want to hear about, but that popped up for some reason. And it's just like, God is with me. God is telling me that he's here with me, that I don't have to worry. He's carrying me through all this. So all I have to do is take the steps. So that's what I feel like. That's where my darkness came out of. Is God is the one that took me out of that darkness. He's the one. I didn't have nobody there with me. It was just me and my kids, telling me, Mom, they were actually helping me like get stuff cooking and stuff, and I was just sitting there and telling them what to do. And one day it was just like, you can't be doing this. Something was telling me, you cannot be letting your kids take care of you. You're the mom, not those kids. Those are your children. You're supposed to be up taking care of them. And that's what made me get up more, was just like, it's just like God is still here with me. It's just like right now we're homeless. We're sitting in a freaking hotel room, and I'm still like wondering what the world is going on. And it's just like God is with me through it all. There is nobody out here that's trying to help. I've been like getting beat up by people that I don't even know, telling me that I need to go to work, but they don't know my situation. They don't know I just had surgery. I cannot get up and just go to work like they can every day. And it's a very challenging thing because it's like I'm still a little bit in that dark area, but it's still like I'm halfway in and halfway out. But I have to keep going, and I have to keep doing my projects and trying to help somebody else, because it makes me feel like I'm alive when I'm helping somebody else. It makes me have breath whenever I'm helping somebody else. And I
And I
know
think,
everything will be all right.
yeah, I think, Cecilia, you're doing the right thing, because that's the key, is in our giving and, serving, right? It's not always about giving money, but serving your time, helping with your gifts. And the most important thing is having the faith and knowing that, having that awareness and consciousness that God intervened. Just know and hold on, because I mean, I've seen a lot of the same things. Like I've seen, the times where I'm in these toxic relationships. I'm like, what in the world? The last situation was like the guy was trying to kill me or threatened to kill me. And it was just, and it was lasting for a long time. Like he wouldn't let go. It's almost 2 years.
Yeah.
It's about a year and a half, a little more than a year and a half. And it's just like, the person unfortunately was on drugs and just out of his mind. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And at the end of the day, though, even though I made those decisions, right? I can't hold God accountable for decisions I made, but
Yeah.
he still brought me out. I still pray. I still had the faith and still realized that, okay, I need to ask for forgiveness, for the things that I might have done. I need to forgive those who have done wrong to me. And that is the one pillar in my program, of where I start on that journey to freedom. And what that looks like is really that forgiveness process, right? Because sometimes we hold on so much. I know I was, to the past, and I just couldn't let go. I was just so hurt, so much pain, so much guilt, so much shame. Bless you,
Thank you.
so much everything. And rear view mirror, right? I was looking in the rear view mirror, dragging all that stuff from
Yeah.
the past, and I couldn't create the future that I wanted. So now I'm in a totally different space. Whereas, everything's not still like 100% perfect. However,
Yeah.
I'm learning to set boundaries. That's the one. And I'm learning to make better decisions and being accountable for those decisions that I make, right? And then
Yeah.
also enlisting God in those decisions. Because before I just made the decisions on my own, and really having the faith that what I pray for is God is going to, bring forth or manifest
Yes.
it. And so I'm saying to you, even in your situation, just hold on, because sometimes in the waiting, he's working out what's supposed to happen for you on the other side. So start looking at things a little bit in a positive light. And I'm just going to give you an example. When I was getting this house, I was homeless for 2 months. It was, for me, that was long, because before I was homeless too. But I had ended up going to a colleague's house. They let me come stay until I got this place. But it took 6 months. It's like I don't know, it was like 8 months really, but it's processed with this place, this house to go through. But what happened, God was lowering the asking price $10,000 on the other end. And I didn't know that, because I couldn't get the house, because it's a little $10,000, I couldn't get
Yeah.
the house. Like it was all wrapped up. But I didn't know, and I was stressed out. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do, where I'm going to go, blah, blah, blah. However, he was working it out on the other end, and that was just a recent miracle. So I'm just saying, sister, hold on, have faith, and look at the positive end of it. He's working something out for you so that you don't ever have to be in this situation again. And that's what you need to focus on. Like, okay, in the interim, right? While I'm in waiting, what can I do? What can I create? And that's where, the work that you're doing, you have to you have to be in with support, like getting mentorship or getting coaching. And that's what I provide. That's why I'm here. And I would love to work with you and to help you, with this dream that you have and walking true purpose. But it's all about setting up the structure, setting up the blueprint, right?
Yeah.
Everything is a process. And while you're getting, I always talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs when I'm working with coaching with the women, because there's, it's like 5 levels, but now they've added like at least a couple more, right? So, but the basic 5 levels, the first 2 is your physiological needs, which is your basic needs: food, water, shelter. Uh, and then the second level is safety, right? And
Yeah.
that's where you are right now. And in the midst of the next level is really about relationships, right? And I start with restoring the relationship with yourself, because you can't do anything in terms of connecting or working with other people, because it's about relationships. And the first one
Oh
you
yeah.
have to restore is the love for yourself, and then really connecting with God on that next relationship, right? Like really having that faith, trust, total belief in God, if that's where you are, and it sounds like you are a believer. So you have to strengthen that relationship, and then that's going to help you have healthy relationships in other areas of your life, in terms of even the program that you want to create. Because when you do that, you're going to be able to connect with people on all levels. So the community or the professional relationship where you're working with people, these young people, their parents, um, other resources that you're going to need to connect to put it all together. And it's
Yeah.
like the program that I'm building, bless you, really addresses all of those needs, because at the end of the day, the Power Star is really about purpose, overcoming your limiting beliefs, knowing what your worth is, like what your value is, like what do you offer, what gifts do you have that you can bring to the world. The E is just it's the environment, it's the energy around you, what's draining the energy, and or also mastering your emotions, right? Because that's
Yeah.
another thing. Sometimes the emotions will overrun us because we're holding on and we're so attached to things of the past that we can't see, be live in the moment, let alone create the future that we want. And the R is just the pure restoration, right? Restoring yourself back to the glory of what God has meant for you to be or called you to be, and your divine purpose. So I'm loving what you're saying, because you're talking about creating legacy for young people to be able to prevent them from suicide, to help them focus on getting and completing, getting, high school and completing their diploma, if nothing else, and then knowing what they might want to do in the future so they can go on to higher education. And I'm a big advocate of that, of what you're saying, because I've worked in
Yeah.
higher ed for 24 years. And it's like, I see these young people come in and some of them still just don't have a clue. And you never know what the underlying surface is in terms of what they're going through. Like they don't always talk.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your transformation then. We know what the catalyst of your change was, and that's beautiful, your spiritual awakening. But what was the healing journey like for you? Like once God showed you that vision and said you're not this dead log or this dead tree, like what was the healing journey like after that?
After that, it was just like, I'm just gonna say it was just a run. It felt like I was running. It felt like I just have to keep going, because I just saw that big old vision, and I was like, okay, it's time to get up. So I was like, I had to get myself back to walking again. I was going to doctors. I had to get injections in my back, several of them. I'm probably over 10 of them I had to put in my back. What has happened was I had 3 lower disc eruptured. So I had to get that fixed. I didn't have surgery on my back, thank God, but I did have to have surgery to put my organs back in me. All those, that whole 5 years that I was walking and getting myself back into place, I found out the reason why I was having so much problems was I was walking around with my organs hanging out of me. So
Mm.
I had to go back into surgery and get my organs back in. And whenever I hit the gym after I had that happen, I was like, okay, I'm overweight now because I just had my son. That was my accident, was having my son. I had I had gotten I had gotten pregnant on the marina. I had met this man that we were together for a year, and I was on the marina, and I was we got serious,
Mhm.
and I didn't know I was pregnant, and I felt kind of weird. So I went to the doctor, and they started saying that the marina had fallen out somehow. So that's how I got pregnant. Well, the doctor went in and checked the baby right then and there to find out that I was like 3 months pregnant already. And whenever she did go check on the baby, I had a leakage in the bag. And she said that it would be fine because it was a little leakish. After that, I never had no more sonograms or anything after that. So we didn't know how big the baby was. We didn't know anything that you should know while you're having a baby. So I went into labor, and I pushed out my son. He was 10 pounds.
Wow.
They went ahead and lied about his uh they lied about his pounds and put it down to 9. That way it can save them from not doing their job. I ended up pushing him out while he was breached. He was supposed to be a C-section, and I ended up pushing him out like that. And that caused everything inside of me to come out of me. And they didn't fix me. They left me like that for 5 years. So
Wow.
I had a lot of anger towards the doctor for doing that to me. And because of that, it made me have a broken pelvis. So I was walking around with a dislocated pelvis. I still do have my pelvis still dislocated till this day, where I have popping, and it's very horrifying. So I'm still in the process of healing my body, but I am healed in my mind, and I forgave the doctor, and I forgave myself for putting myself in that pity situation that I was in, because I I got so low on myself that I hated myself, that I hated just to look in the mirror. And I had to stand inside a mirror and tell myself, I love you and you are strong. And every time I spoke that, I kept on having people come up to me and tell me, you're very strong, without me even knowing them. They just look at me and told me that. And I just always looked at them back and said, no, I'm not. I would never tell myself that I was strong. And whenever I kept telling myself in the mirror, I kept telling myself, you're strong, you can do this. You're strong, you can do this. That's what got me to get to walking again. I started walking. I was going, I used to live out in the country, where we lived, and I would go with my dog, and we would walk from little spots towards my house. It started inside the my driveway, because my driveway is pretty big since we're out in the country, and I would walk the driveway, and it got bigger where I was like jogging out of the driveway. So I was healing myself, and I was just going at it and kept going. And now I'm glad to say that I'm I'm healed from my stomach area, where all the surgery that I had to have to put everything back into me. I'm healed on that. But now I just messed up my foot, my ankle. So now I'm back to not being able to walk again on my left foot. So now I have to re-heal myself again and get back out there and keep going. So it's been a challenge for me on my healing process, because every time I try to get myself physically fit and physically helped in my area, I end up hurting myself. I already had two surgeries on my arms, on each of my arms, from having tennis elbow for lifting weights. It sounds funny to me because now that I'm laughing and look back at it, I just like was trying to be Wonder Woman and I wasn't yet. So I was trying to push
Yeah,
myself to be stronger than what I was at the
but
moment.
that goes to show you what you can't go it alone, right? And it's a
Yeah.
classic example. Like you need a coach, you need a
Yeah.
fitness coach to help you to work through that. Someone who is very cognizant of like the rehabilitation process and to help you do that so that you don't hurt yourself. And the
Yeah.
same like anything else. Like if you're trying to create a business or a movement or project, you need a mentor, you need a coach, someone who's just a
Yeah.
little bit further along that can help you do that so you don't have to go through these trials and tribulations, especially ones that you might create for yourself. So I'm glad you said that, not that you had to experience that, but I'm glad you
Yeah.
have the awareness that that's not the route to go. And
Yes.
people that, those, excuse me, those of you that's listening, on replay, like just listen to what Cecilia is saying. Like anything that you're going through, don't go it alone. You don't have to go it
Yes.
alone anymore. And that's the problem with any of these things that thrive in the darkness, right? And being in
Yes.
isolation and being in that aloneness, and even in your own mind, that war that's going on. Like you mentioned, you're 1 foot in the darkness and 1 foot out, and I get that because there's a war that goes on inside of us internally
Yes.
in our mind. And even though you want to believe that you're working towards something, the enemy is always going to come in and start planting this that oh, remember this or remember that, or you're not this and you're not that. And then ultimately you start believing that stuff, right? So you are strong. You are very resilient,
Yeah.
Cecilia. You are a warrior woman that is striving to thrive. And I, again, applaud you for what you have done and for recognizing, right, where you
Yes.
are. Yeah, you may not be at the highest level yet because none of us are, but we're
Yeah.
striving to get there. We're striving to self-actualize and we're striving to be in a space which they added to Maslow's hierarchy of needs called transcendence. And that's when you're truly fully giving your gifts to the world and you're making an impact and you're making a difference. And that's what we're all ultimately striving
Yes.
to get to. But we have to take care of levels 1 and 2, right? The
Oh,
basic
yes.
physiological needs, and then you start working on the psychological needs. So the love, of self and others and the esteem
Mhm.
and just being looked at and respected and honored for, what you can contribute. Like you said, people was looking down on you or when you was trying to get a job because you didn't have certain credentials or whatever it was that they
Yes.
made up. Because sometimes it's just all made up. But
Oh, yeah.
what I'm seeing in the program that I'm creating, that I've created, this this program is about creating your own
Yeah.
economy, being a powerful creator and not waiting for someone to validate you. You know what God gave you, your gifts, and if you don't know, we'll discover them because I have a process that's going to help you discover what those gifts are, what those strengths are, what your passion is, so that ultimately we can find what is your divine purpose. And that's I'm so glad that you said yes to coming on and sharing your story because I know so many women are going to be able to resonate with, what you've gone through and then who you had to become to start to create, right, this vision that God gave you. And it's a beautiful thing when I see the women doing that. So I wanted to ask you though about who do you think you have to become in order to, to whatever your ultimate dream is, right?
Yeah. I don't
What
have to become nobody. I just have to be me.
and
That's
what is that like though? Because it's a new version of you, right? Because
oh
ultimately
yes, yes,
we went
yes,
through some transformations and we became somebody, you
yes.
know, our next version of ourselves.
Yeah,
So what does
yeah.
it look like for you in terms of that next version where you're living your dream? Like what is the dream? What does it look like for you?
I'm gonna say it 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 has a lot with my book that I have coming out pretty soon. And it
Oh,
has me where I'm standing there signing my book off with autographs for people and them happy and thanking me for saving their life, that they're
that's good.
here and that they don't have to be alone no more.
Do you
That's
have a
what I
title?
see. Do what?
Do you have a title? Do you have a title
Oh
and a launch
yes,
date?
yes, yes. I have my title. It's called the little girl. The oh my gosh, now I haven't said that title for so long that I forgot the title. Hold on, I do have it
Yeah,
written
no,
down because that is actually my um that's actually what I'm working on it right now still. Every time
yeah.
I feel like I'm done, it just it's just like there's more to it that I have to add. So that's the reason why it's coming out. And
And I
then
can see that this is something passionate because your face literally lit up when you
yeah,
started to mention
it's
about the what
the
you're right.
it's called The Little Girl Stronger Than I.
Ooh, whoa, I love
And
that. Do we
the
have a
reason
launch date yet?
do what?
Do we have a launch date yet?
No, I
Like when
haven't done
release
that
date?
yet. I haven't done that yet. I'm still trying to get the I'm trying to still get the my because I'm putting photos in it. That way it shows it has like where you can feel it in the photo what this girl went through and what
I
she
love
is
that.
going well not went through, it's what she's going through because it's actually a little girl that is trapped inside a little girl's body, or she feels like she's a grown woman, but she's a little girl. And that's because she had to grow up too fast and she was getting passed around by men. So that's what my book is about, a little bit about that. But
Powerful, very powerful.
I just can't wait for it to be out for, for these young uh adults or these young kids that are needing it because
Yeah,
I want it to have it in there that's saying it doesn't matter what you are going through, you can still get through it and you can still thrive in that area wherever
yeah,
you're at. You have to
love,
meet yourself where you're at.
love that. I mean, this is going to make such a powerful statement. I love the title, and that's what happens. What you're saying is not so far fetched in terms of adult, men and women, but adult have that inner child in them that's running them
Yeah.
because they never healed that inner child. And we have to go back and there's, again, process methods and that we use in our program to go back to heal the inner child so you could be released from that and live your life as an adult and not, like this little girl or little boy. So I love that. I think, you're definitely going to make impact with thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of people when they get this book in their hand, because it's going to tell a story of triumph and resilience and, um, you know, that journey of transformation. So I can't wait to be able to get this book in my hand as well, because I'm really touched by just what you're sharing. So in the essence of time, I do want to kind of, ask the last few questions here so we can start wrapping up. But one of the things that I talked about was this idea of a warrior women survive and thrive in global movement, right? It's the 1 million strong. And so
Oh
it's
yeah.
interesting that you said that, but it's a 1 million strong warrior women survivors thriving. And so why do you think we need to create such a movement? It's really like a network of empowered and inspired women survivors. But why do you think we need to create something like that?
I would say that it has to do with not being alone, because if we're all together, we will be this big old bright light that is going to be able to shine so big that somebody that is hurting or in that dark spot, they can come out of it, and they
Yeah.
can be able to live, to be able to find themselves.
Yes. Wow, I love that. And so, what do you think of the benefits would be? Any additional benefits of joining a tribe that has this movement encompassed in it?
Oh wow, I would say that I just there ain't no words in there. It's just it'll be so mind blowing just to be able to just have that connection there.
Yeah. Well, hey, sister, you said it. Just as a reminder to our listeners, we actually have such a tribe. It's called the Warrior Women Thriving After Abuse. And, we're thriving in relationships, right? After abuse. You can find us on Facebook. And also, you can find it by warriorwomenthriving.com. I'm sorry, warriorwomenthrivingtribe.com. You can find it there as well. And we do have this global movement, this 1 million strong. And sister, I thank you for being a part of it. Just by activating your voice, just by being, in solidarity with other sisters from around the world, where we're creating this future without violence for women and girls around the world, by sharing our stories, by giving our testimonies, by taking our mess and turning it into a message that's going to impact and heal and deliver so many people from whatever it is that they're going through. And, again, I thank you for the space that you're in, working with children and teens to help prevent suicide, to help them understand, what it looks like to finish school, to finish high school, and create the future that they want, create their dreams, like continue to dream. I love that. I'm so excited about the work that you're doing. I hope that you will work with me on Power Start so that we can, expedite your process of what you're doing, and you can get some, the blueprint on how to
Yeah.
make this a reality. And that's what I'm doing. That's the gift that I'm sharing to the world, is helping other survivors become coaches, trainers, speakers, writers, whatever it is that they said that God has called them to do, ministry leaders, community leaders, and, even in their own homes or in their own like jobs or whatever, just be stepping up, become courageous leaders. And that's what it's all about, the courage. And like I said, these are courageous conversations that we're having. And again, I'm just so honored to have you here. And so thank you so much for joining us tonight, Cecilia. It has been a true blessing and enlightenment to learn about your story and where you are, and just to know that we're all warrior women still striving to thrive. And, it's okay that where you are, start looking at the positive points of it. God is working on my behalf on the other end of this. and start looking at what you can create and what you can control until that place is prepared for you.
Oh, yes.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
You're welcome. You have anything else you'd like to share? Any last parting words? Maybe something that you might share with other survivors?
To keep on surviving, because if there's a will, there's a way. There's always a way. Nobody's not just planted here for nothing. We're all here for a purpose.
Yes, yes, I love that. So with that, we are going to go ahead and close up our session for tonight. So again, if you're on replay, check us out every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And generally we'll have open Q&A. So feel free to come on the live. You have a chance to ask the questions, right? Any questions that you want to ask to our speakers. So again, we thank you for joining us, whether it's live or replay, but we thank you for joining us. Have a blessed night. We'll see you next Wednesday. Let's see, what's next Wednesday is the 16th, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Thank you.